So good evening. Now we're going to do part B of part 3B of Megilat Ruth. Okay. We talked about yibum. Yibum is the mitzvah of a widow that has been left without children. So it's a mitzvah for her dead husband's brother to marry her, or a relative, but usually it's a brother to marry her. So there's a question here. The whole purpose of this marriage would be to actually to make sure that there's a continuation in the generations. So how is it that by marrying the children, by marrying the childless widow, right? How is it that there's a continuation of generations for the dead first husband? It seems really peculiar, because it's not his child. They may not even give him the name of the dead husband, as we see in the case of Ruth. Her whole purpose of marrying Boaz was for her to have a continuation for her husband, her dead husband, and her child was called Oved. Her first husband was Mahlon. So how does this work? So here we have a few things to first to understand. So when a couple gets married, the neshama becomes whole again. The husband, before he got married, he had like half of the neshama, and his wife had the other half. So now that they're married, so there is the neshama comes back again together as a whole neshama. There's what we call a kesher shel emet, a very strong bond between the husband and the wife. It's not just a bond, but it's also that because of this marriage, the wife receives from her husband a spark of spirituality that is particular only to her husband. And even if the husband dies, the bond between the wife and the husband is still there. It's weak, but it still is there. So that means that the death of the husband does not really separate completely the dead husband from his wife. So Chachamim tell us, actually, this is what it says in the Zohar, that a dead man, when his widow gets married, the dead man can actually make trouble for the new couple, so that they don't really have a good marriage. And how is this possible? What happens? So it means that the nitzot ruchani, the spark that we spoke about, that spirituality that was given to the wife from the husband, that spark does not leave the wife even after the husband dies. And the only way the first husband won't make trouble for the second husband is that only if the second husband is actually on a higher spiritual level than the first, and he has more mitzvot, then the first husband cannot make any trouble, cannot stir trouble between the couple. And the Chida says that the trouble can be only if the widow gets remarried within the 12 months after her husband's death. So the Chida says, and he advises, not to marry an almana at all. So there was a Rashash, Rabbi Shalom Sharabi, who was a very, very great Mekubal. He died maybe 50 years ago, maybe, or maybe more than that. So he made a tikkun. He found a way to fix this problem. And he says like this, that the new husband, for the couple not to have any trouble in their marriage, so the new husband, on the day of the marriage, before the chuppah, that he should be learning a perek of Mishnayot, because Mishnah and Neshama is the same letters. So the second husband should learn a perek of Mishnayot right before the chuppah, le'ilui nishmat, for the memory of the dead husband. And then he has to say Kaddish for the dead husband. And he says that according to this tikkun that was done, then the couple will not have any trouble with in their lives. So that was the second part, part B of part 3B of Megilat Ruth.